go for it. For you to be able to get clients on board, to then retain them for long-term clients, that's where the money is. And the only reason to do that is to make sure that you tell them one thing, then you can execute and follow through on it. Hello, and welcome back to another video. My name is Preston. I'm a professional recruiter running my own agency. And here in this video, we're going to talk about how to avoid overpromising and underdelivering with clients. Make sure you listen carefully. But before we get started, please consider supporting us. Like, subscribe, click that bell. Really means a lot. Let's get into it. First things first, couple things about me. If you're watching for the first time, I started my career at a nationwide US staffing firm in technology, quickly became one of the top producers out of 300 nationwide, billing over $500,000 in a year, surpassing over $100,000 in billable placements in one single month. I started my own business initially as a solo recruiter freelancing in 2015, did basically the same thing, generating over $500,000 in revenue my first year on my own desk, and since then able to say did over multiple seven figures worth of placements to date. Before we get started, just FYI, a lot of this is just based on my own experience, here to provide you value. If you agree, disagree, that's totally cool. Hope it helps and hope that maybe one day we can partner and collab together. That'd be awesome. When it comes to overpromising and underdelivering, it really refers to a situation where a recruiter would make a commitment or assurances to an employer regarding the recruitment process, such as finding suitable candidates within a specific time frame or meeting certain qualifications, but ultimately ends up failing these promises adequately. This is not just recruiting related, it happens all the time. Why do us human beings tend to overpromise things? It's a desire of making a deal with clients. Maybe you're desperate, you need business, so sometimes you gotta fake it till you make it, and then you come out really strong, and then you have to figure out, oh my God, how do I do this? On the back end, lack of understanding of the job requirements. So again, you come, you talk to a great client, you pick up the role, you have no idea what it is, but then you have to tell the client, hey, I'm an expert at this, I know exactly what to do, and then you're just internally fretting and just crying inside. You focus too much on just quantity rather than quality. We all have made this mistake too much, like because you don't know what you're doing, you don't know the market, you just end up kind of throwing a lot of things kind of against the wall, and you just really hope that one of them sticks, playing this lottery mindset, which is not the best way to do recruiting. And at the end of the day, we all hate to turn away business, even though that might mean it would be a massive waste of time, a massive time and resource sink for you. If you can make money, you think there's a way chance for you to make money, obviously we want to say yes, right? But it might not be the best thing to do so. So these are some of the challenges faced by recruiters in managing client expectations from the point of view of a staffing agency, solo, or even freelance recruiters challenges. A lot of times you might have limited resources in terms of like you don't have the right access to tools and systems to be able to really deliver as well as you want to in terms of the clients. Because you're just a freelancer or you're a small team and you're kind of spread out thin, you might not have the time, resources, or even the budgets to be able to utilize and hire a VA, part-time employee, or you might not be able to move as fast as you want to when it comes to delivering and working for clients. When it comes to negotiating fees, if you're a freelancer, you're alone, a lot of times you are put in a hard place. You have to just accept the terms of the company, or you just have to walk away and do your best to find another client to work with. And I found myself in this position all the time when I worked out, even now, right? Like if you really want to work for a company, a lot of them already have a pre-drafted agreement with really no wiggle room to negotiate further. What do you have to do? Do you say yes and try to do your best, knowing it might be difficult, or do you say no and try to find some greener pastures? So these are some of the different kind of resources that you might be facing right now, especially if you're starting your own business, you've been running your business for a couple of years, in terms of like working and managing and delivering consistent results for clients over and over again. So the tip number one is you really have to understand the employer needs. You need to have an in-depth discussion with your employer, in this case, the client hiring manager, to really understand the specific hiring needs and the organizational goals. And don't just ask for a job rec, and don't just start your search from the job rec. There's so many nuances that are missing that you can further discover, that you can further elaborate and clarify the search and targeting if you talk to the person via Zoom, phone call, or in person. I always a huge advocate to talk to the hiring managers, talk to the recruiter directly, so that you can really dig deep and be aligned with everything that they're looking for, so that you're on the same page. From this discussion, it's that you can then align finding the right candidates profiles with the employer's requirements. If you don't have this conversation, how are you going to be able to do that? And I think what also makes it even more difficult, if you work with a client that's in a market, you pick up a role that you don't have any experience with, that could be easy said than done because you don't know the tools, you don't know the languages, you don't know the companies, you don't know the must-have hard and soft skills to be able to do this correctly. So from the way that I see it is us as recruiters, we are the middle person. We basically have to find two different Lego pieces, right? And create that perfect fit as much as possible. One side being the hiring manager, one side being the candidate. And that can only happen if you talk to them in person. You also have to ask the right questions. Recruiters can gain a comprehensive understanding of an employer's needs and expectations. Some of the questions that you could ask maybe about the company side is, how big is the company? When were they founded? What is their funding stage? Are they profitable? What's their culture like? What is the X factor? Maybe a couple ideas on the job section. Like Like, who are they reporting to? What are the skills? What are the must-haves? Is school important? What is the salary cap? How many years of experience do you want? And maybe a couple others in terms of like the deployment or the fulfillment side. Like, do they use an ATS? Email okay? Should we CC anyone? Who else will be reviewing the resumes? Like, all of these are very, very, very important, because if you're able to do a good enough job, you know exactly who to go after in terms of the candidates, and then can be able to send a perfect candidates to your clients, not wasting your time, not wasting their time, not wasting the candidate's time. Tip number 2, you have to be transparent when it comes to communicating, and you have to set realistic expectations. I totally understand the fake it till you make it model when you're starting out. You have to be confident, you have to sell, but don't also put yourself in the bind where it can just blow black on you and increase the chance of that client being pissed off and just walking away from you. Do not want that to happen. Be honest and clear about what you can do and what you can't do, right? Communication goes a long way with clear expectations. It helps keep everyone on the same page. How long will it take for you to find the candidates? How long will it take for the candidates to be screened and then sent over to the clients? What can they expect moving forward? Will there also be like regular check-ins with you, weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly? All these things have to be clearly communicated so that they have little to no confusion in terms of what they can expect partnering up with you. You want to make sure that you know and the employer knows what their needs are and what would constitute a win. Aside from placement, what would they also want from their perspective to make this partnership a success? Maybe it's like, responsiveness, maybe it's accessibility, maybe it's like clear check-ins on a weekly basis on top of just the placement. Everyone wants the end goal, but there's a lot of things that you can do up until the end goal to make that experience different, unique, tailored to you and your business. And the reason why it's important to also set realistic expectations are a couple things. You can easily avoid disappointment, avoid them walking away, calling it quits, saying, hey, I'm going to work with someone else. You can build credibility. So by you being able to come to the table, understanding exactly what they want, being able to validate that with them, and then be able to crystal clear in layman's terms, share with them the steps 1 through 5 on what they can expect moving forward from now to you placing the candidate. It will just make you come off like a amazing professional who knows exactly what they're talking about, and you've been doing this for a long time. What also comes with that perceived expertise is that you know how to manage your scope, team, resource effectively, that, hey, you're a master of this market, you know it really well, you've done this hundreds of times. If you work with them, just plug and play, you know exactly what you have to do to deliver results and make them happy. Number 3 is leveraging technology responsibly. Recruiters can provide employers with a more precise understanding of a candidate's abilities using candidate assessment tools. This ensures that they are not overpromising in terms of the candidate's abilities. Depending on the market you're in, you could be using some really great candidate assessment tools, whether it's like software engineering, whether it's IT, creative, marketing, what analytics, data, whatever you can to then be able to show that in addition with the candidate's profile to further advocate or strengthen your case on why this candidate should be interviewed. Just showing the resumes and salary blurb, I think for a lot of it's good enough if the candidate's on point, but you can also add supplemental things to that to make your case a lot stronger. It's also really important for you to be able to utilize your own ATS, your own tech stack to avoid overcommitting to timelines. You never want to make sure that there's a lot of, overlaps, or you're sending someone too soon, or maybe you're reaching out to someone that is no longer available on the market. You want to make sure that you want to use your time wisely and that you're reaching out to the appropriate people. You can organize them based on their situation, their timeline, and then ultimately be able to be organized and presenting them in the right angle or case possible. Analyzing data. This is also very, very important. If a particular skill set is scarce in the job market, we can then communicate this to the employers, manage the expectations about the challenges of finding candidates with specific qualifications. The reason why it's important to be specialized in staffing is that you know the market really well. What does that mean? You know the talent, you know the salary expectations, you know the insights, you know the trends, you know the updates, you know all of it. And so when you talk to a client picking up that role, you want to come as an expert, a consulting kind of perspective, understanding exactly what they want, being able to reassure them that you can deliver. But then in that call, if you discover that what they're looking for is actually very difficult, you need to explain it to them. Maybe the competition's too high, maybe their salary is too low, maybe everyone's looking for the same software engineering language, so the timeline's going to be a lot longer, and whether or not that's okay with them. By you understanding your market really well, it puts you in a place of authority. It puts you in a place of authority so that when you talk confidently and convey your message to the client, that they'll nod and they'll agree that you know exactly what you're talking about and they should just follow what you suggest in terms of the right course of action. Tip number 4, building a talent pipeline. You should be focusing on long-term talent acquisition strategies with your employer. Understanding the candidate pool allows you to assess if a candidate matches the job requirements, reducing the likelihood of promising a candidate who isn't suitable for the role. Our role in staffing, in my opinion, is that you want to be able to find not just one candidate for that open position, but you want to find a steady stream of candidates, really building that pipeline. Because a lot of times the first 3, 5, 10 candidates, depending on the role and depending on its competitiveness and the candidate's interview process, might not get hired. So don't don't put all your eggs in one basket. Always have a plan B. Always have a plan C, a plan D until that position gets closed. Now, you want to make sure all that plan B through plan Z are with candidates that are just as good as the plan A. If you just found a really good, plan A candidate and then you send the next 9 candidates, they're just horrible. Again, now you're wasting everyone's time and now you're risking the possibility of your client getting angry, maybe leading to a termination of your agreement and relationship, which you don't want to do. It reduces the urgency to fill a position quickly since you already have potential candidates in the pipeline, avoiding rushed decisions. If you're only looking for one candidate, I totally get it. But if you're looking to build a pipeline, you still want to work with a sense of urgency because you want to build that pipeline as fast as possible. But if you were only operating on just a one candidate per open position model, then it can help you cut corners, reach out to the wrong person, start stressing out if that one candidate doesn't respond. Then you start reaching out, maybe resorting to a spray and pray model, which never ends up working out well. It's just honestly better mentally, psychologically for you, and also for your hiring manager to build a great pipeline, reach out to multiple targeted people at the same time, and consistently do it every single week. You want to build relationships with candidates by learning about their career aspirations and motivations. You can make informed recommendations to the employer, and all of this comes down to the conversation, how you qualify and screen a candidate, whether you meet in person, Zoom, or call. These calls need to be in-depth. You need to understand all the basic information, but also understand a lot of the other intangibles and soft stuff, like what are you looking for? What are your aspirations? What are the best case scenarios for next job? And why is your client the best Lego piece that matches with what the candidate's looking for? And the better you can do that, the stronger your recommendation, the stronger the talent pipeline, stronger the chance of you getting that deal. Tip number 5, always try to underpromise. I think the basic of customer service is you want to underpromise, but then you want to just crush it and over deliver with them. If you're able to do that well, you establish a really strong relationship. They're frankly impressed by you, and you set yourself up for a really great, hopefully long-term partnership where they're just loving what you do, you're crushing all your milestones, and then they can't do anything but then spread the word to their network, and business comes to you in plentiful numbers. You don't want to set low or hardly any expectations, but underpromising just a little to leave any room for surprise later on always works well. It's sales 101, customer service 101. Instead of saying, hey, I will send you 3 candidates in the next day. If you hit that, they're impressed. If you don't hit that, ooh, man, you put yourself in a tight corner. Give yourself a little more breathing room. Maybe I'll give you 3 candidates within the first week. But then if you say that and you end up sending them candidates within the first 24, 40 hours, then they'll get impressed. 2 different ways that you can word something, but then upon the same result, 2 drastic different expectations, experiences, and just overall tone on where that relationship can go into the future. If you miss a deadline because you verbally agreed to an unrealistic deadline, which I just talked about before, then all the trust that you build with the employer will be quickly forgotten about. You want to set yourself up for success and set your employer for a happy surprise. I'm always about happy surprises and never negative surprises. If there has to be a surprise, do whatever you can to make sure it's a happy one, not a negative one, because you always want to make your clients happy. You always want to deliver the results, and you always want to hopefully be able to continue doing that long-term with them into the sunset. Bonus tip, follow up and follow through. You need to make sure that you deliver what you promised, when you promised, and how you promised. I think there is an opportunity for you to have a strike 1 or a strike 2, but I would not rely on a second or third chance to try again. It's very, very important for you to set realistic messages and expectations so that you can deliver it consistently. I know and I totally understand that you want to come out strong, you want to be different, you want to be unique, to set yourself from the crowd, and then you just have to go for it. I totally get those Hail Mary situations, but I think if you were to look at just the law of numbers, for you to be able to get clients on board, to then retain them for long-term clients, that's where the money is. And the only reason to do that is to make sure that you tell them one thing, then you can execute and follow through on it. You want to check in with your employers after the hire and make sure they're happy and satisfied with it. This also gives you another opportunity to ask, hey, are you hiring again? What sort of positions are hiring for? So that you can put in your notes, your CRM, and follow up with them, or then perhaps pick another surprising position or 2, and now you're busier than ever. You can really create a lasting impression and a positive relationship with your employers, and that's what it's all about. If you've been watching for a long time, you would know that recruiting isn't just a business where you just make money. It's all about relationships, not just on the candidates, but also on the client side. The easiest way to piss off clients is by throwing stuff against the wall, wasting their time, or feel like you're just under delivering. Do whatever you can to set realistic expectations conversations, hit those milestones consistently over and over again, and build up your roster of just happy clients, because that will then compound into more happy clients, word of mouth, now benefiting you with candidates and clients in the future, more opportunities. And that's how you create a fledgling successful business that doesn't just have to rely 100% on cold outreach all the time. So I have a question for you. If you made it this far, how has overpromising and underdelivering affect trust and credibility at your recruiting agency? How has it affected you as a freelance or solo recruiter? We'd love to hear your thoughts as I went through all of those myself. If you like this video, want to see more like it, feel free to like, subscribe, click that bell. It really means a lot. Thank you again. We'll see you on the next one.